Right, having extracted, you end up with this sort of lead spaghetti, which takes a little bit of managing. And one of the things that I have been doing, I've been using a piece of tongued and grooved. And as you can see, I've been using this particular piece to cut lengths. I find that makes it easier to hold, easier to cut, and you can use this to sort of straighten some of these bits and pieces. The first cuts that I'm going to make are going to be slightly over length, just so that I can manage with the lead that I'm using. Right, pop this in the vise. Now, I've watched all sorts of people doing this sort of work, and a lot of them use a knife to cut the lead with. Yeah, that certainly works. I actually don't like that. I prefer to use a very fine tooth junior hacksaw. That's a personal choice. It seems the easier way for me to do it. That isn't to criticise folk who use a knife. It's just I happen to like that. Usual measuring rules apply. As I say, I'm going to cut slightly long so that I can then cut down to the correct length once it's all straight. Now, your joints don't have to be perfect, because when we solder this up we can cover a multitude of sins with the solder, but the closer to perfect it is, the less sin you've got to cover up. So that doesn't look too bad as a mitered joint, does it? It's not too bad. I think the next thing is to swap boards around and get the building board out. One of the things I worked out fairly early on with this caper is you need a lot of jigs. It makes life just so much easier. You know, we can put things down, we can put them on straight. We can see how the job goes together. Now this is one of those situations that engineers really don't like, because what we're doing is we're putting the job together and taking the measurements as we do the job, rather than measuring everything up and cutting exact and then building. So we're getting the distances right, inserting the various bits to make sure that we've got the right sizes. There are those that would say this is the wrong way of doing it. Probably right, but it's the way I'm doing this particular job. So we'll cut it, we'll measure everything up, and then we'll put it together.